Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we talk about horror movies on this show. This episode, we are looking at a Patreon vote winner. We are looking at The Stuff.
Ooh.
From 1985. Had you seen this before, Tim?
I have. I think I saw it once before.
Yeah, I saw it once. I think when I first got the Blu-ray.
This is one that I feel like it's always streaming somewhere, and when I watched it, I actually watched it on Shudder, and ooh, very nice. Is that the Scream Factory one?
No, is that Arrow? This is Arrow.
Arrow. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, it's yeah. Oh, I was just gonna launch into my opinion, but you got to do your thing first.
Is the plot, yes. Also, why we watch it, because every month on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, we put up a vote of 4 movies for an episode, and our patrons get to vote on them. The theme for this one, what was the theme for this one? Oh, it was all food things. That's what it was.
All food related.
Yeah, they're all food related.
But it actually worked out very well because, I hate to start the episode on a downer, but unfortunately Larry Cohen recently passed away, and so it's nice that we're doing a movie kind of, obviously it won the Patreon vote, but it's also nice as a little dedication to him, I suppose. Yeah,
and that was not known because he only passed away. This vote was already up before he passed away, so that was purely coincidental.
And I think that we've only done one other Larry Cohen movie before. Because we did God Told Me To. Yeah,
that's an ancient one, though. That's a redo in the making.
Okay.
That one.
Okay. So yeah, I might not even be able to see that anymore. Yeah.
But yeah, so The Stuff is a movie where 2 old men literally find white stuff coming out of the ground. More on that when we talk about it. And they package it and sell it as food, as a new dessert. And it takes the world by storm. It's kind of an Invasion of the Body Snatchers plot almost, in the sense that it takes people over, but it's also just kind of an alien entity in and of itself. But yeah, so it's basically about this investigator who does sort of corporate espionage stuff, who's trying to investigate it, along with a kid who happens to witness it moving and is determined to try and stop his family from eating it and just basically survive. So yeah. that's the main gist of the movie. So Tim, did you enjoy The Stuff?
Oh, I can't get enough of The Stuff. I would say that I liked it. Maybe even say liked it a lot. I don't think I would go as far as to say I love it. Because it's an interesting idea, and it seems like it was kind of playing off of the kind of health food craze of the 80s, which is remember that when that time when people, it was such a novelty thing, be maybe we'll eat healthier and stuff, because I feel like yogurt was a big thing, and that's what it kind of seems to be making fun of, even though they kind of say this is more like ice cream ish, I guess, but it always seemed more yogurt to me.
I'm fairly certain when they're eating it, because obviously there's very different things that make up the stuff, because in shots where it's doing certain things,
oozing,
yeah, but when they're actually eating some of it, I assume that's either yogurt or ice cream or some sort of mixture.
Yeah. But I don't know, it seems very kind of satirical, the way it's kind of making fun of overdoing the commercials and having people kind of getting into this new fad, it's kind of taking over people's lives and stuff. So there's some good funny aspects to that that I like, and there's some it's a cheesy movie, but there's some funny lines and characters and stuff. So I would say overall I liked it.
Yeah, I like it. I'm kind of like you, though. I don't love it.
The stuff truck is coming.
Yeah, I don't know if they can hear that on the recording actually, but yes, there's the ice cream truck.
I could hear it.
is outside. But yeah, so The Stuff is I think it's a fun movie. It has some fun ideas. It definitely has no interest in actually explaining where it comes from. B, really having a logical conclusion, because things just kind of end suddenly and just wraps up really easily and neatly at the end in a way that feels really forced and kind of no, what, this stopped it? No. There's things like that. it's weird because like I feel like it makes these weird leaps in logic at points, and I'm like, well, I mean, maybe that's okay because it's a movie about the stuff that's people are eating, that's taking people over, and someone's trying to investigate it. Like, is it okay that it doesn't always necessarily make logical sense? But there are odd like things that happen where it goes down these paths where I'm like, oh, we're here now, we're doing that now. Okay, all right, so we've evolved to that point in the movie, and I mean, that's fine, that's okay, but I think. And there's some good like fun like prosthetic horror moments here or there. There's a couple of fun moments like that. Bizarrely though, I think ultimately I would say there's something about it that just doesn't quite click together for me to actually be like, I love this.
That's kind of my feeling. Like, I think early on in the beginning, it's one of those things where like, the opening scene and then the first kind of couple of, stuff like the commercial and introductions, kind of the early characters early on. Like, I feel like I do get a little excited. I'm like, oh, okay, we're in for this kind of, great cheese filled ride. But then, I don't know, I think that somewhere maybe in the middle or kind of later third of the movie, I don't know, I just kind of lose interest, to be honest. Like, not that there isn't still like, crazy fun stuff going on. But I don't know, just something about it doesn't like super hold my attention.
I used to think ice cream was the best thing ever, but now there's something new. Now it's the stuff, and I can't get enough of the stuff. The commercials are all like women in bikinis and fur coats, like eating the stuff. They're like,
yeah, like that stuff like is kind of funny. Like I kind of like the like repetitiveness of it, and just how much they're like really trying to sell it and force it down your throats.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And credit to us, we're over 5 minutes now, and none of us have made a semen joke yet, because I feel like that's a possibility with this movie.
Oh yeah, and with us,
they had just men farming out sperm just to fill up buckets of this stuff for this movie. It's funny. At one point, the kid, to pretend that he's been eating, empties it out into the toilet and fills up the tub with shaving foam and starts eating the shaving foam, and I'm like, I mean, obviously he's not really eating shaving foam. I'm sure they made it something edible, but I'm this is like, he has to like react to this. He can't just like be okay with eating shaving foam. And luckily, in the next scene, he started vomiting and saying, "I just ate shaving foam, man." Like, and I'm like, okay, good, because like he eats the shaving foam in the scene, like as if it's not even like difficult. He's just like, "Oh, this is easy, yeah." And I'm like, "No, you'd have a hard time swallowing that. Come on now."
Yeah, I love how. Like, and it's even like kind of pointless because he's like found out pretty quick. Like, it's like after like 2 seconds, like someone says something, and then he's like, I forget, like he says something else, and like maybe he says like, "Oh, like I'm getting full" or something, and they're like, "We don't get full," and he's like, "Oh, gotta go." It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, he just runs for it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like you're talking about some of the possible like logic problems or like jumping around different set pieces, and it does kind of feel like Larry Cohen's style, because he's certainly a like guerrilla filmmaker. Like, I think like a lot of scenes, like he won't even get like permits when he's filming stuff, so a lot of stuff has to be like filmed quickly, and like I don't know, that's but I do kind of like that manicness to it a little bit, where we are jumping around. There's like a lot of different characters, especially if you are going for a, Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of thing, where it's like, oh, this isn't, some family in some house. This is like a global epidemic thing.
Because his family are kind of forgotten about. Once he runs away and he runs into Mo, the investigator, he's just kind of separate from the rest of the movie.
Why do they call him Mo?
Because every time someone gives him money, he always wants more.
It never gets old.
It doesn't work in my accent. Like, you have to say it in his accent for it to really sound right. I always want more.
Yeah, he did. And it's even like works doubly so, because he has like a little bit of like, kind of sounds like a southern drawl kind of thing. So it's Mo.
Yeah. So it, like, you know, he's got a really interesting introduction because he, you know, it's actually the rival ice cream companies want to hire him to find out what's in this stuff because they want to know so they can, you know, compete with it and so on. And they get him in, and he has this scene where he's like, "Oh, like, you know, you said before I showed up that you didn't trust me, that I was some, you know, scoundrel or whatever." He's like, "How do you know we said that?" He's like, "Well, last night when you were at the opera, I planted a bug on you." He pulls this bug out of the guy's pocket, his jacket pocket. And they're like, "Oh, you're good. You're not half as dumb as you make out to be," and it's all fine. But there's one character there, like the security guard or whoever, who used to also be in the FBI, much like Mo used to be, and he cracks some sort of joke on the way out, and Mo just turns around and punches him. And this punch felt just so out of tone for the scene. It's like the rest of it felt like whatever, and then this just happens, and I'm like, what's going on here? It felt like a weird scene, and I was like, oh, maybe we're in for more of this crazy stuff, and it never really felt like. There was crazy stuff. I mean, we had Chocolate Chip Charlie, who, you know, was a great character.
Yeah,
but, you know,
I definitely like the character. It does feel weird though to have a black character going around calling himself Chocolate Chip Charlie. I don't know. I'm a stupid white man, so I'm not even gonna pretend that I know like what's racist or not.
Cat, go away. So the movie is. The movie's got full of fun moments. The movie's full of fun stuff. I think it has this weird thing though, where I never really get invested in it in the sense where I actually care where it's going. It's just kind of a series of like almost skits where, okay, this is what we're doing with the stuff in this scene. This is what we're doing with the characters in this scene, as opposed to like actually being invested in the kid, like wanting to actually save his family or whatever. Because again, the family disappear like halfway through the movie. We never see them again, and there's like, and I guess this is a spoiler kind of, but like there's like an offhand comment by the end where it's like, oh yeah, that boy's lost his whole family to this stuff, and I'm like, oh, they all died. Okay, sure. Sure, I mean, it's kind of weird in that sense. I mean, it's a solid enough watch if you like cheesy 80s movies and you want like something that's a little bit satirical, a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I think it almost suffers from being a little too tongue-in-cheek, where I almost wish it was taking itself just a little bit more seriously.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree. I'm glad you agree, Tammy. I don't know, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, it's I definitely think it's like a fun watch, but yeah, it's, you know, it's not one I usually come back to a lot. Well, like I said, this is probably only the second time I've seen it, and, you know, watching it, I'm kind of like, all right, cool, but yeah, I don't really feel the need to like, oh man, like, yeah, it's so great, I gotta watch it again, or I gotta, you know, show a bunch of my friends or whatever. It's just like, all right, yeah.
It's not struck a chord with me the way that a lot of movies like this do. I mean, again, I want to go back to the opening scene, right? I want to go back to the opening scene where the two old guys find the stuff. It's in the snow, and it's literally like a drain in the ground. It's just bubbling this white stuff out of the ground, and of course, the guy's first instinct is to taste it, because of course, you see some weird substance coming out of the ground, you're like, I'm going to taste that, and he's like, oh, this is good, and he starts like just shoving it into his mouth, and then the other guy catches it, like, you eating snow? He's like, no, try this stuff, it's great.
Yeah. It's it's insane that would be anyone's first instinct, to just be like, hey, look at that stuff, it's probably food.
This scene just caught me off guard. Let's give a spoiler warning though, so we could actually talk about all the stuff that happens. So full spoilers for the stuff from this point on. So where to begin with this?
Well, I guess like my big question is, what exactly is the stuff? It's like, it's aliens, I guess, or some type of alien thing.
There's nothing that actually tells you that. I just said that because, like, what else could it be?
I thought I mean, maybe I'm misremembering it, but I could have sworn I thought someone said something about aliens at some point. It's definitely not like a big explanation thing, but what exactly is their goal? Because they obviously want people to eat them and to continue eating them, but then it's like, are they actually in control of the people, or is it just like that the people like are so, you know, hungry for the stuff that they start acting, you know, violent and or just want to eat more of it?
I don't know. There's no defined motivation for the stuff. Like I don't know what it wants to achieve, if anything.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
I was kind of coming by.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It's weird. Like there's never like any kind of like, where does it come from? What does it want? Why does it want to control people? Because it feels like, it leaves people's bodies at certain points and then comes back. Because we see the one guy who, where it leaves his body, his mouth opens really wide and it comes out.
Right, yeah.
And it's an interesting visual effect. And there's a couple of moments of that. At one point, we get like people like getting their jaws punched off, and like one guy gets his legs run over and his like head pops, and that's like a fun scene. It's a fun visual effect.
Yeah. That stuff is always really cool. I think, maybe if there was maybe a little bit more of that stuff, or maybe a clearer like goal or something for the stuff, maybe it might have worked a little bit better. But without it, it feels like it's missing something.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a few like good prosthetic, effects here or there. So, the ending has Chocolate Chip Charlie like opening his mouth wide and there's stuff coming out of it, and we get like the fire, because it turns out fire like kills it, and the obvious thing to try, I suppose, but
So basically, they gotta bake it instead of eating it.
Yeah, cook it. That's what they say at the end. Cook it. I'm going to let a cat in, Tim. Why don't you talk about how much of an idiot the kid is for hiding in a tanker and then being surprised when it's been filled up with stuff.
Yeah, the kid's not the smartest. He's also like not the most subtle. Like, it starts off with him being suspicious about the stuff because he sees it moving, and instead of maybe trying to like rationally talk to people about it, he goes into like full crazy conspiracy nut mode where he's like knocking the stuff over, going into grocery stores, and like
that scene in the supermarket when he's just like ripping it out of the fridge and just like smashing the tubs on the ground and then like wiping. He actually like knocks several adults into the pyramid of stuffed tubs. And it's like chaos in the streets. It's madness, and it doesn't even feel like we get a scene where the parents are like, "Wait, why did you do that?" What's his name? I want to say Timothy, but that's just because I'm talking to you. What's the kid's name? I think it was Jason. Yeah. Why did you do that, Jason? But actually, on this subject, why was his dad so mad at him for being up at the fridge like at night time? Like he gave him this like
that was
big
weird
telling off. Where he's like, "Don't you ever do this to me again, boy? I thought there was an intruder in the house. Oh, you're hungry, are you?" I was like, "Stop being a dick."
I did like in that scene though where he knocks the stuff out of I forget whose hand it was, but like it splatters on the like counter or something, and the mom is like, "Wow, it doesn't leave a stain." It felt like she was like doing like her own commercial or something.
Well, that's one of the things that he points out later, is that when he's talking to his parents later, like it sounds like they're in a commercial for it, because they're saying, "Oh, we've been eating this stuff and we're on a diet and it's so healthy, we're much better because it's like so much healthier than anything else." And like I like the satire there, because the ending, of course, you find out that some we'll get to like how they solve it, but let's just say after they've warned everyone, and everyone just kind of believes it after one radio broadcast, and everyone's like burning the stuff and burning the distribution centers and everything else. The evil businessman who was behind like distributing it has teamed up with the ice cream businessman who hired Mo in the first place. They are teaming up on a new product called The Taste, which is basically just the stuff, but it's diluted in actual dairy. And I thought, okay, I get the satire here. Okay, so this idea that this is really bad for you, but they're going to like, it's like, hey, it's only 12%. It's enough to get you addicted, but it's not enough that it can take over you. We've tested it. Like, yeah, okay.
You would think there'd probably be more government regulations involved with that, but
that was the big weird thing at the start. Is like no one knew what was in it, and I'm like, surely they have to like. I mean, obviously they can hide parts of their formula again, just like Coke do, because that's one of the things they bring up is that Coke's formula is like hidden, but you still have to like submit a lot of things to
like you have to be you have to be approved by that, and Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trust the government. Like, I'm sure the government doesn't care about selling us harmful stuff. But like,
I mean, that's the satire here, right? That's the whole idea is they get away with it because they don't really care.
Yeah. I think the stuff like I feel like kind of is weird that kind of loses me is like some of the stuff like once they meet up with like that militia or whatever.
Yeah, Mo has this idea to go and enlist this militia, which is weird because it's like, hey, I kind of like spied on you on behalf of the government and got your marriage like split up, and he's willing to help him. And then the militia dude, so they go into the factory, the distribution center, and go to kill everyone, but everyone's already dead, and he's just pissed they didn't get to kill anyone. And then militia dude is like, oh, I own 2 radio stations in the state. Let's go to the radio station. I was like, why do you own a radio station? Who are you? You lead a militia who's like terrified of communists, but you also own a radio station? Like, what is your life? I don't understand.
It feels like kind of like a weird diversion because like at that point we're at least like halfway, maybe 2/3 ish, through the movie.
Well, 2/3, yeah.
Yeah, and so it just kind of feels like this weird, like, oh, we're introducing this, what feels like it's supposed to be a major character, like all of a sudden here. And I mean, it's kind of like you said earlier, where it feels like, they're going from like place to place, like it's like almost like sketches or something. Like it seems like, yeah, that it's a little bit out of nowhere. But I don't know. I feel like maybe that could have needed more build up or something getting to it.
Yeah, he's also really racist. We should point this out. He's
oh yeah.
he meets Charlie and he's immediately like, okay, I'll let this black man speak on my radio show, but if I hear one commie idea out of you, like he's
he's definitely a piece of shit. Yeah, he's racist. He's very what do you want to call like he's kind of like all over like the female character. That's
the polite way of putting it, but
so he's, I don't know, like I feel like he's supposed to be like a bit of like comedic relief, but I don't know, I really don't like him.
Because at one point someone just acts surprised at what he's doing and he says, quit your liberal thinking, and he goes on with what he's doing, and I'm like, okay, right, he's this guy. So yeah, I think that last third of the movie is probably my biggest problem actually, because I feel like the tone completely changes and there's almost this like upbeat army music playing as like the militia roll in to like kill like the bad guys. It really like sucks out any kind of tension, and then again it feels weird to me that after they do one radio broadcast we get a montage of everyone like burning the stuff and like saying swearing off of it and all that.
Especially if you think about what we know of anyone, like it seems like you get addicted to the stuff extremely fast, like almost like one bite and you're hooked. So assuming like all these people that have the stuff have probably already tasted it, at some point, or
it just felt rushed. I mean, ultimately that's what it is. Like, you could have explained a lot of this stuff, but just delving into kind of like how people react more. But it wanted to quickly end the movie at that point, and that's kind of what we get. And we didn't mention Nicole. Nicole's like the ad exec who marketed the stuff, but didn't really never tasted it, and she ends up working with Mo, and they kind of team up on taking it down once they know what's going on. There's a scene where Mo goes to like the FDA guy who approved the stuff to interview him. He pretends to be like a journalist, and the guy basically, when he's asked about how it was approved, he's like, "Oh yeah, we approved it. I mean, it is really good, isn't it?" He's immediately like, it's really clear that he's addicted to the stuff. Like
that's true. Yeah.
As soon as he starts talking, and I'm like, this seems unprofessional here. He's like, "Oh, who cares about why it was approved? It's just really good, isn't it?" It's lovely. Yeah. It's lovely. Do you want some stuff? I can give you some stuff. Because the movie actually ends with the idea that it's now underground and now drug dealers have got the stuff, because we see these gang members like steal some stuff boxes and they're ready to distribute.
Yeah, it's a shame it never became a franchise.
I don't know. I'm kind of okay with that, but it's a decent movie. Like there's stuff I like in it, but I don't know. It doesn't. It's like because I like Larry Cohen's other movies, like.
Yeah, no, I'm a big Larry Cohen fan.
Out of the 3 Larry Cohen movies I've seen, this is definitely the one that I like the least.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And still, it is worth a watch. But yeah, it's not one that is really gonna set the world on fire or anything.
Yeah.
And it's I think it also like I don't think it really helps that like necessarily like the visual stuff is cool, but at the end of the day, the stuff is just like this white goop, which isn't very interesting. Like there's no, iconic killer or monster to kind of, put behind it, or, it's not like the stuff ever, forms like a little creature with eyes or anything. It's always just looks like white yogurt.
Yeah.
Which there's like some cool stuff like that. Like when it's like flooding a room and stuff, it does like look cool to see like all that, goo running around, but it's not super visually interesting.
Yeah, there's kind of some weird logic, or not logic, I mean, it's kind of logic, but there's some weird, like, sequence of events in this movie where, like, Mo's investigating this town, because this is where apparently the stuff originated from, or where the people who found it came from, and then he runs into Charlie, who tries to, like, karate chop him, and then they team up, and then they find the guy in the post office who the stuff, like, sort of comes out of him, and they see a leave, and then random villagers in town who are obviously are taken over by the stuff, like, chase them, and they just kind of run to like a small boat, and they're like, I'm like, wait, these two characters who, as far as we, like, all we've seen of them is like, he's an investigator, we've just met Charlie, they're on a boat together, and it just cuts to them like going into a diner like later, and I'm like, wait, you just really gloss over the fact that, I mean, these two, for all we know, have never been in a boat themselves. Like, I don't know, it felt weird to me. It just it cut from them getting into the boat as if, oh, we're safe now because we got into a boat. To them walking into a diner and just being like, well, I guess here's what we do next, and I'm like, I don't know, it felt like there was stuff cut out, like, just in terms of sequencing, like it just escalated to a weird place very quickly to me. But
I can definitely see that. Yeah, it definitely feels like there's a lot of ideas there, but maybe they don't always have the breadth to explore them. I guess, like, it's kind of rushed, and it seems like maybe some stuff that would have been interesting gets kind of skipped over.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's a pretty decent watch, but, like, I can't help but be a little bit disappointed because God Told Me To and Cue the Winged Serpent, I think, are both really good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not in the traditional sense necessarily, but
yeah.
But better than the stuff for sure, and it has interesting art. I'll say that much for the stuff.
Yeah, no, there's like definitely cool stuff about it.
No, I mean the posters and stuff are all really good for this. Like,
right, yeah.
They're all pretty solid. Other than that though, because yeah, from a filmmaking standpoint, there's not a lot of interesting things going on in this one. Whereas I think, like, I mean, Cue the Winged Serpent, I remember looking quite like an interesting movie, for what it was. And God Told Me To has got its crazy script that goes all over the place and does all these weird things, and left turn, right turn, madness. This, it feels like, despite the fact that it feels like a lot of ideas that are kind of like pasted together for the most part, it never feels like it's actually that crazy.
Oh sure, yeah.
It feels like the core thread line of Mo investigating and trying to figure out where this stuff came from is fairly straightforward and not that surprising ever. I mean, the only surprising part of it really is that Monica goes along with it. Or was it Nicole? I think it was Nicole. It was Nicole. Where did I get Monica from? So like, that was the only part of it that felt kind of surprising to me that I didn't expect, is that she kind of got involved, because when he first went to talk to her, I thought she was just going to get rid of him or suspect that he was up to no good or something like that, but apparently she liked him enough that she tagged along, and she they worked together.
Yeah, it moves very fast, and it's like it seems like it definitely doesn't want you to think too hard about it. It's just kind of like, all right, let's just on to the next thing, don't worry about it.
Yep. So that's the stuff. Anything else you'd like to add to me?
I guess it was kind of cool when the like they have like their own little storefront that sells this stuff, and it was cool when it explodes towards the end.
The explosion's good. The explosions are very nice.
It was cool, and there was like it was right next to like a big old McDonald's too, which is just interesting because I feel like you don't really see that, like, you don't really see like just blatant like I don't know, products and stuff in movies all the time anymore. So it's like interesting that they're actually being like, oh no, like, yeah, here's Coca-Cola and like, here's a McDonald's. We're going to blow the building up right next to it.
Are you saying there's no product placement anymore? Because I feel like that's not true.
I don't know. I feel like it's not like as pronounced as it is blatantly a lot of times. Like, I feel like, people, like a lot of times when you watch stuff, like people just aren't like, I don't know, actually saying the actual names of things, or I don't know. At least I don't know. It doesn't seem as noticeable to me. But
there's definitely examples. You haven't seen any Adam Sandler films recently, I don't think. Not that I have, but sure. I've heard of the sins of those movies. Like I wish I was more enthusiastic about it. I really wish I was. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of. I'm lukewarm, I guess.
It's. I guess that's the thing nowadays. We talk about before where it's like everything is either a 1 or a 10, but it's okay sometimes to just watch a movie and just to like it. You don't always have to love it or hate it. There's a lot of movies that are in the middle that are just good, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of where the stuff lies. Yeah, because actually, I laughed at the end of the movie because, young Jason comes in. He's helping Mo like force these two businessmen to eat the stuff out of revenge, and the business guy is like, "Oh, this is no place for a child." And he's like, "He's no child. Not after what he's been through. He's lost his parents and his brother."
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay. At least he's still a child. I don't we get that here, Mo.
Yeah, his family didn't seem that great.
Oh dear. All right, what are you rating this stuff, Timmy?
I think I'm gonna give it a 6, which is like, it's decent, but it doesn't reach the heights of like something that I would say would be great or something that I love. But it's better than just like okay. Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a 6 as well. I think it's perfectly watchable, has some fun moments that are it's worth seeing it for, but ultimately it's not one that I'm going to be rushing to watch again.
Right. Yeah.
It's lacking a bit of magic. There's just some magic missing here. It's not quite crazy enough or interesting enough to really like capitalize on what it's doing. And some weird, the whole malicious stuff towards the end just kind of felt like a weird out of nowhere element that. I mean, maybe you're saying, okay, isn't that part of the crazy stuff you wanted? I'm like, not really, because it's not crazy in concept. It's just crazy in that it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like it maybe might have been more interesting again if it was set up earlier in the film or something. But yeah, it's by that point it's just kind of like, what is this?
Yeah, set up and pay off. Who'd have thought it? Mm-hmm. Who'd have thought that was a viable option? But yeah, so that is this stuff. So by all means, you can let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below, and like and subscribe and all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates, or more specifically, get us on Twitter at Screams Midnight for the Screams After Midnight Twitter, which both me and Tim run, and often we'll argue with each other on. Now, obviously, we mentioned this was a Patreon vote winner. You can become a patron over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month. And for that $1 tier, you actually get a bonus episode of Screams After Midnight every month. We just started doing that recently. The first 2 episodes were The Invisible Maniac, and just recently we did Demon Wind. So those are exclusive to Patreon at the $1 tier, and then the $5 tier has the voting in it. So go have a look and see if you're interested. You can also buy shirts and hoodies and things like that over in our Spreadshirt stores. There's US and UK links in the description, so go have a look at that. And if I'm going to promote anything else, I'll say that we just started a new sci-fi movie podcast called the Atomic Cinema Experiment, shortened to the ACE, with myself and newcomer Tara. We talk about it's kind of like this show, but it's sci-fi movies instead, and there's no Tim. So I mean,
hey.
I never said if that was a positive or negative.
Okay.
I let the audience decide that for themselves. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.